Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Vince. Here I like to look at books or ideas that I think you should know about. Today I'm going to look at what I think is probably the most important book that people should know about today, and that is Martin Buber's I and Thou. I'm going to remind you that if you like the video, you should hit the like button, and in fact, I'm not going to feel bad if you go ahead and do that right now. Also, if you enjoy content like this, you find it very meaningful, you should hit the subscribe button. And again, I'm not going to feel bad if you go ahead and do that. I and Thou is an older book written in 1923, so just after World War I and before World War II. It's still regarded today, however, by some as the most important work in existentialist theology. Certainly it's Martin Buber's most famous work, and like I said, I think it's the book that we probably most need today, because not only does it identify our biggest problems, like call them out, but it teaches us kind of how to deal with those. Which is kind of humbling when you think about the fact that these problems that we're experiencing today have been around for so long, and this is really just kind of a development or a manifestation of those. Okay, so let's get to it. What does he say that's so important? Buber was most interested in human communication and interaction, like how do we as humans engage the world and others. He calls this communication dialogue. He says we only exist in dialogue, so we are always encountering the world. The point is, we don't exist in a vacuum. We always are who we are in relation to the world. So, in I and Thou, Buber says that we are always in relationship, and those relationships can take take two different fundamental forms, or what he calls word pairs. One is the I-it relationship, and the other is the I-thou relationship. Another way to say this is, when we encounter something, we can either encounter it and call it, or we can encounter it and call it I. The I-it relationship is transactional. When you engage something as an it, you are using it as a tool. So you might think of a business transaction. I need your signature on this paper so I can buy my house. We're in line. I need you to purchase your ticket so I can then purchase my ticket. You are my teacher, and I need you to give me information. In that sense, information is also an it. Right? I gather information so I can pass a test or I can get a better job. My job is an it because I use it to get the money I need to afford the house that I just bought. All right, so that's one of the ways that we engage the world. The second way, or the second word pair, is I-thou. This relationship is characterized by mutual presence and a holistic encounter. In an I-thou relationship, one engages with another in their entirety, without objectifying them. So I, as an I, encounter the other as another I. Buber tells a story to kind of give an example of this. When he was a young boy, he would always go and feed sugar cubes to this horse. And in one of these encounters, he says, he was able to see outside of himself and think about the horse as a thou. So he would think of himself as a young boy feeding a horse a sugar cube, I-it, but then he thought about what it must be like to be a horse getting fed a sugar cube by a young boy. So he was able to see the horse as a thou. This, he says, was the birth of his philosophy of dialogue. Now, there's nothing intrinsically wrong with the I-it relationship. In fact, it's necessary. Not only that, but the relationships, the two relationships of I-it and I-thou are very fluid, and many times in a single encounter, we can move back and forth between them. So you think of a student and a teacher in a classroom, maybe. They're using each other, I teach, you learn, but they're also sporadically encountering each other as a thou. You are a person in and of yourself. You have a job to do, you have your own dreams, you have your own aspirations, your own goals. The problem, according to Buber, comes when we stay in that I-it relationship too long. It starts to overcome us. In fact, all relationships in Buber's time were becoming I-it relationships, and even more so today. Industrialization and using people to just build things. Teaching becomes all about giving information and not so much about how to engage with information. Organizations gather strength by having more people join, so strength in numbers. And of course, in the wake of World War I, men are used for numbers for winning wars. Okay, so it's obvious the goal for Buber is to experience people in an I-thou relationship, but it goes beyond this, and here's where the theology part comes in. There is also an ultimate thou, and this is God. In fact, because God is eternally present in all aspects of life, then engaging with anything in an I-thou relationship is to engage with God. Every authentic I-thou encounter is, in a sense, an encounter with God, as God resides in relational space of mutual presence. So, in other words, when two people are dialoguing in an I-thou relationship, God is what is in between them. I think of it something like this. If God created human beings in God's image, and all human beings are image bearers, then encountering another image bearer in dialogue and having them encounter you is to experience God together. In fact, it makes me wonder if you can experience God on your own. Like, can God only be experienced in true relationship? So, for instance, think of a church service. Most church services today are based on an I-it relationship. People go and they sit and they want to be entertained, or they want to get fed, we might say. But to encounter God is to actually build relationships, to get to know people and to share God with them. All right, that's my summary of this book. Before ending the video, I wanted to expand a little on why I said, in my opinion, it's the most important book for today. And that's because I think it's obvious that our big problem today is that we don't listen to people that we don't agree with. In fact, we often devalue those people and dehumanize them. We treat people as an it, only waiting for them to stop talking so that we can get our own point across. What's needed, according to Buber, is that we start encountering people as people just like me, who have been born into a particular set of circumstances, who've had experiences in their own life that have led them to think what they think and to do what they do. And while we might not ever agree with one another, we need to learn to truly listen to one another, to truly experience one another. And by doing that, we're not only learning and growing, but we're also experiencing God. Okay, I hope you found that meaningful and useful. If you liked it,